Hi, welcome back. I'm Annie Skizzlebash and my mission is to help awaken your potential. And the question from a reader, lovely reader, is how do I hide my nerves before an important meeting? So, big meeting's coming up, you're feeling nervous, you're feeling tense, all the nerves emerge. Okay, first let's get clear. Why are you feeling nervous? The reason we feel nervous is because of what we're thinking. We're thinking maybe the worst possible outcome. We're thinking of maybe all the things you could get wrong. You're thinking what a great big deal this is for me and I better not mess this up and so on. You know what I mean? So this is the conversation that's going on inside you which is creating that stress response. Okay? It's your amygdala, your fear center, I call it the hammer, is going crazy and it's causing these nerves, right? It's manifesting physically as nerves, sweaty palms and so on. Because you're focusing on yourself and the conversation you're having in your mind isn't particularly helpful, okay? So instead of trying to hide the nerves, what you can do is release them, let them go. The way you do it is this. First, you need to create a gap because you've got these thoughts rushing through your head. So first create a gap, and you do that by simply listening to your breathing. Listen to your breathing, okay? Take a breath and listen to your breathing. What this does is takes your focus, takes your attention away from the thoughts causing you stress to the present moment. This is exactly what I did before my first TEDx talk. I rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed. I'd memorized the whole thing. I'd spent 2.5 weeks memorizing it, literally 5 times a day. I would rehearse the talk in my head. So that it was the day of, and what they do is you're in this room and then you have to go and stand outside the place where you're about to give the talk. You have to stand out 20 minutes before. And so when I walked there and I stood in that bit and I had my notes in my hand and then poof, the nerves erupted and I thought, oh my goodness, I couldn't hide them because trying to hide them I knew I'd just forget everything. I'd forget my lines because that's what happens when the fear center is overactive. It clogs up access to your memory and your brilliant you. So the only thing, I put my notes aside and all I did was march up and down and breathe louder. I didn't care what people thought. I was just focused on my breathing and breathe louder and louder and louder. And I just kept doing that. I was persistent. I just kept doing that. I was doing that for about 10 minutes because I was particularly nervous that day. And suddenly what happens is when you've done it, when you're in the zone, suddenly you just feel this calm. It's like, oh, phew. The stress response is gone and you're calm and you're yourself. Okay, so you create that space of silence where those thoughts are no longer there and you've brought yourself back. The stress response is dissipate, is gone. I can't say the word, is gone. And now it's just you and the gap. Okay, but you need to do something with that gap because unless you're, super trained and enlightened to do this, it's difficult to maintain that gap for long periods of time. I mean, you can if you focus, by all means have a go, but it's easier to replace it with something. Replace it with a vision of the meeting going well instead. So if it's an interview or if it's a pitch or whatever meeting it is, you're having your appraisal with your boss or whatever it is, visualize a positive outcome instead. When you visualize the positive outcome, you are focusing your attention on something useful instead of letting your mind take you down the ditch, which is what it typically does. When you focus on the positive outcomes, feel it, be in it, you really embody that positive outcome and right till the very end, the whatever it is you want that other person to say, shaking hands, or yes, you'll get that pay rise, whatever it sounds like the positive outcome might be. To visualize that all the way through. It only takes, to visualize a half-hour meeting, you can do it in literally a couple of minutes because your mind just works it works in fast forward. This is what elite athletes at the top of their game do. They visualize the outcome. There's that Olympic swimmer, the one who broke the world record, the one who smashed, he's won the most Olympic medals. I can't remember his name. The swimmer. You know the one. That's the one. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. He does this religiously. His coach would say, play the videotape. And he would have this ritual, this pre-match ritual he'd do consistently, where he'd play the videotape of the winning, the perfect race. He could literally feel every droplet fall on his face, every stroke. He knew exactly how many strokes he'd make. He'd do this religiously. And here's what happened at the Beijing Olympics, where he smashed the world record. I think it was on his second lap, his goggles steamed up. So he couldn't really see where he was going. But because he'd swum that race over 100 times in his mind already, he just continued and continued and continued. And that was a race where he smashed the world record. Anyway, so going back to you, how to hide your nerves. Don't hide them, get rid of them. And you do that by first creating a gap, by listening to your breathing. Take your attention away from the thoughts causing you the stress and bring yourself into the present moment. Okay, you've created this gap, you've done it. Now visualize the positive outcome. That's what I did with my TEDx talk as well. I created that gap and then I visualized myself going through everything perfectly and ending well, and the timing and all sorts. Okay, so for you, what does the outcome look like? What does the good meeting look like for you, and the end result? See it in your mind and focus on that with all of your heart, with all of your body, and feel it. Because your mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. Okay? I hope that helps. And please share it if you know that other people who feel nervous about meetings and presentations and so on. Please share this with them, okay? You never know, you might make their day. I'm Annice Kizilbash. My mission is to help you awaken your potential. Ask a question and I'll answer it in an upcoming video, okay? All right, see you soon. Thank you. Bye.